We are going to learn a lot about acquisitions and life after acquisitions from Viren.
Finally have my Saturdays back. Founders are perhaps the most broke people in a company.
You mentioned like you just acquired the first client within 7 days, and that too the product was not there.
We sold without building the product. And within a week, we closed 2 deals in Europe. It took us about 7 days to make our first sale happen. In the first 3 months, 6 months, 9 months of the company, your only job is to sell.
Today we have Viren Baid, who is the co-founder and CEO of VoxGenie, a voice AI pro who's turning everyday business calls into a smart human-like conversations out there. And today on the AIBROS show, we are going to learn a lot about acquisitions and life after acquisitions from Viren in this conversation, I believe. So let's start by first of all, how are you doing and what's going on right now?
Thanks, Kev, Afzal. Thanks for having me here. Um, I'm good. Finally have my Saturdays back. Um, After I think like 3 long years, I finally have my Saturdays back. Like if we were doing this maybe an year ago, I wouldn't have any day free. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's the highlight of life post acquisition, honestly, more than anything else. But yeah, glad to be here. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. Add as much value as I can.
Definitely.
Great. Yep.
So let's start with this topic itself. So I was going through your LinkedIn and I saw that you are uh, paying off some different kind of debt out there.
Yeah.
So let's start with this journey and how's life after acquisition and how is it evolved after it?
Yeah. So that post around paying off debt, and I actually did quite well on LinkedIn. So look, basically, I've been in this journey for like 3 years now, maybe
Mhm.
slightly longer than 3 years. So I was running another startup, like not I was leading product at another startup as a co-founder 3 years ago, and
Mhm.
then we ran that for about 2 years, and then I exited, and then I started
Mhm.
VoxGenie post that, and that's been a little over a year now. So
Mhm.
those 3 years have been, contrary to popular opinion of people will say that you're a founder now and money and all of that. The reality is that founders are perhaps the most broke people in a company because you don't make any money, and at least until you raise a round. And then
Uh-huh.
when you raise a round, even then, like at a seed or a series A kind of a level, you draw very minimal salary. Now,
Mhm.
prior to those 3 years, I was working as a senior product manager at companies like Ola, OLX. So I had a
Mhm.
pretty decently lucrative career before that, and then overnight went to zero because I made the decision of starting up. Now,
Mhm.
what is very little kind of talked about in general in startup or founder community is the sacrifices your family takes, like because of this, right? So I was married then when I started, so that in itself, like, I'd recommend people to explore starting up before you get married because you have much lesser just dependencies, right?
Exactly.
So then because of that, we had trips planned. I think I did maybe in the 3 years I did one or two trips at max. And my partner is somebody who loves traveling, so like she had to bite the bullet on that one. uh, and then in these 3 years, like these were also like kind of peak years of getting married before you have kids, and last year we had a kid. So there's a lot of sacrifices there, not just travel but even things to purchase. You would not buy expensive phones or laptops or uh, yeah, things like that, so there's a lot of sacrifices that it's okay for me to take because I'm making the decision of going into a startup and like starting a company, and that is its own journey, but your family takes a lot of it. And because of that, I think now, so when I left Fitment, I took 3 months of sabbatical because I became a first time father then, and I wanted to kind of spend time at home, so I did that, and then jumped right back into starting another company. Um, so yeah, it's been pretty hectic that way. And now in the last, so we rolled out the acquisition last month. We started speaking about it, I think, a few weeks ago, but it happened about 3 months ago or so. And I was just prepping up to do PR until then. So these 3 months have been like, in terms of work-life balance, it's been the best I've had in perhaps the last 3-4 years or so. So that's the kind of debt I largely meant, not
Mm-hmm.
financial debt at
Uh-huh.
all. But yeah, in terms of life post acquisition, um, so it took a little bit of getting adjusted to, honestly, because I'm now working at Conversive, the company that acquired Vox Genie, and I'm working there as director of product at the moment. And it takes a little bit of getting used to go out of a founder mindset and start going into a employee mindset. Now, still leadership role, but still, uh,
Mm.
like, for example, if I don't like how something is getting done, or at a founder capacity, I could do something about it. Like, I wouldn't have to go and tell somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I have to work with the co-founders there to get things done across the team. Now that the team is amazing and the founders are amazing, brilliant people, which is why the acquisition happened. But it's just a little bit of mindset shift that kind of needs to happen. Takes a little bit of getting used to. Um, Work life balance is awesome. In general, these guys are very pro that, 5 days a week. Let's work, and then couple of days like you chill, spend time with your family and all of that. In fact, they let me, this company is Pune based, and they let me work from Bangalore because I have a 1 year old, and it's not standard for them to have a work from home policy. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, very good people. So I'm getting used to working from home, working remotely. Um, yeah, all of that. Post acquisition, of course, from a work perspective, there's a lot of responsibility that comes in the sense that when a company acquires your business, they have a lot of expectations on what happens once the acquisition is done and your product becomes a part of their product. So there is
Yeah.
a series of integrations, and then you train people across the org on how to sell, how to market, how to build more on top of it.
Right.
So all of that like took a couple of months to happen, so that everybody is well versed with what we are bringing into the table. And yeah, now figuring out how to grow it further. It changes kind of this gear at which you are driving. You suddenly go into a super speed kind of a space, because we were a pre-seed, small, early stage startup, and now with the resources of a global company, uh, like, you're expected to go 100x faster, right, in terms
Yeah.
of growth.
Yeah.
So with work,
Mm.
I think that is largely what it is, and it's exciting. It's very exciting to now have the resources of a large company, and then still be able to run the ship.
Mm.
Yes, yes, exactly. As you said, like we are people of habits. We have been habitual to work for a very long time, 3 years, and now switching gears. Maybe it will take some time, but probably, as you said, it is more exciting to get into that. Fine.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Can you explain Vox Genie? What is that for our
Yeah.
audience? And even I came across a claim that um, this product has been built up without writing a single line of code when you initially worked on it. So, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
accurate?
Yes and no. I think what you're referring to is that we sold without building the product.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was not a no code version. There was no product when we made our first sale happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think we've spoken about that on LinkedIn, and I think that is what you're referring to. But yeah, let me give you
Yeah.
an overview of what Vox Genie is. It changed shapes over 1 year of building it, but what it started with was a voice AI company. We realized that voice AI is like, there were so many chat based tools, right, built on top of AI, wrapper tools, as people
Yeah.
say. So I was speaking to Nayan, who is my co-founder at Vox, largely building the technology. So I was speaking to him, and we were building at that point a very basic LinkedIn automation kind of tool, content engine kind of a tool, where like an AI model that can understand how you write, what is your style, what is your aspirations, and write content for you. So we were kind of
Mm-hmm.
trying to build something like that, and we were at a pre-market stage, thinking of rolling it out, starting to test with a few people. We had some people who were ready to be early buyers, and when we were just doing some sort of like understanding with actual users, we realized that we're not building anything like super cool, super innovative. There is too many players in the market. There is
Mm-hmm.
no very clear USP that comes out, because a lot of these under the hood things that it'll speak your language, it'll write like you, it'll understand your goals with your content. These things, even though you build it in your LLM model, um, all companies claim to have that, even if they don't. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
difficult to distinguish. And somewhere around that, we discovered voice AI, and both of us got just super excited about it. Over a late night call, we were just discussing how the infrastructure would look. How would you build out a voice AI solution if you had to?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, not just for American market but also for Indian market. How would you build it out, right? So we roughly drew like a architecture that this is how this would look like, and we are confident that this is doable. Uh, and then the next day, we spoke to Anuj, who is our third co-founder, and he was building something at that point of time. He was at an idea stage, and then I was like, we're doing this. Do you want to kind of come on board? So all three of us teamed up, and that's how Voxgenie started. So Voice AI company. We didn't know where it was going. We just thought it was the technology was pretty cool, and we wanted to kind of see what we could do with it, and it excited us, right? Now, from there, it took us about 7 days to make our first sale happen. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where the context of selling without building the product comes in. So all three of us have built a lot of products in our career. So a few of them together as well at different companies, and a few of them individual capacities. And we realized that as product people or builders, there is a bias that we have towards building. So we will often build things and think that this is going to sell or users are going to use it,
Yeah.
and eventually it doesn't happen more often than not. And the the part of it that doesn't work out is largely that we don't know how to sell, we don't know how to do GTM, right? And so we kind of created a sheet. I still remember, like, the first sheet we ever created after buying the domain name. It was called Sell Before Build, and
Okay.
uh, and we laid out an entire plan of what if we had to sell before building. How would we do that? Like, we always talk of idea validation, but again, there is a founder bias there, because founders are so attached to their idea that
Exactly.
you'll meet few people, you'll speak to them, and you'll say that, yeah, people will say this is an awesome idea, you should do it, and then you go do it. But
Right. Right.
what we realized is, people saying it's an awesome idea doesn't mean shit. So, like, are they ready to put money on it? And that is true validation, right? So we said that until we get there, we're not going to build. And I was anyways on sabbatical. I had no pressure. I was like, yeah, let's do something around it. Both of them had jobs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't think they had jobs, but they were building things. So we said, let's do this. Now, there are these different MVP or validation hacks that companies use. For example, like, what a company like Amazon would do is, and they're known for this, that uh, if they have a new idea that they want to test out before building, they're just simply going to send out an email to all their users, which will have that description of the feature and a CTA, and they'll measure how many people click on that CTA. So remember, I said that there was this architecture diagram that we drew, that this is how we would
Yeah.
build out voice AI. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the key providers in that diagram was a company called 11 Labs. Of course, it's a very, very big company. People are aware of it, and they largely
Yeah.
do text to speech, right?
Yeah.
So, so we decided that we are going to be using 11 Labs when we actually build this out. So what we will do is that we will just make audio recordings. So I wrote down 4 scripts overnight of how calls could go: recruitment use cases, sales use cases, or customer support. One in Hindi, multiple in English. We wrote down those scripts, and then I remember Anuj recorded the human part of it, and then we gave the script to 11 Labs, and we got the AI generated part of it. And then
Mm-hmm.
using a audio editor, we stitched it together, and that became our MVP. So where we started shooting that to people, that we built out this voice AI solution. This is what the output looks like. What do you think? And within a week, we closed 2 deals in Europe.
Damn.
And as soon as that was closed, uh, so Nayan is an awesome builder. He generally goes on these weekend sprints with Red Bull and his laptop, where he's going to just build out things that entire teams would take maybe 2 sprints to build out. So once we had money hit the account, in fact, at that point, we didn't even have a bank account. Like we
Mm-hmm.
had to take money in our personal accounts, because it was just 7 days from thinking of the idea, right?
Yeah, it's true, I think.
So we had to convince the company that we are working with that we are just setting this up. Our bank, we had to make up things like there's some issue with our bank account. If you want to go live next week, then we'll have to do this. And they were okay with it. It was not a very large check, anyways. So most companies start with doing pilots to test out how this would work. So it
Yeah.
wasn't a very large check, anyways. So they were okay with that. And then over a week, day in, day out, we were building this first version of what we had already sold. And yeah, that's how that story happened. So and yeah, this is I would suggest this to anyone thinking of starting up. Like you have to identify your own biases. For us, it was a builder bias. For us, it was we will build it, people will use it. It's Another bias was others telling us that this is a phenomenal idea. So it gets more and more validated. The only validation that works is, are people ready to put money on the table?
Hmm.
Did
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
actually hit your account? And if it did, then there is no bigger validation than that, right? So yeah, that was the journey. Over time, we knew that we were just, for the first few months, we were just trying different verticals. We said that let's try sales as a use case. So our pitch largely was that if there is any function within your company where a lot of calls happen, we will automate that for you, and we will try to hit the same outcome that that team is trying to achieve, make them more efficient. So we tried sales, we tried recruitment, we tried customer service, we tried a lot of these different things in different countries, some in US, some in Europe, some in India, just to kind of figure out what is our niche. We didn't want to go in deciding that we're going to pick sales as a use case, or we're going to pick something else as a use case. So
Mm-hmm.
we took our time to figure out what are the verticals where we will work. We found some success in recruitment. We found some success in customer service, just operational calls. Those kind of calls we found success in. And then eventually we were like, okay, now we'll start verticalizing and building a SaaS platform which actually solves for just that use case that we figured out. It was around that time where the acquisition happened.
Hmm.
Okay. That's really nice to, and even for the people who are building out these products, that's a great lesson for them. And you mentioned like you just acquired the first client within 7 days, and that too the product was not there, and you have kind of stitched out the things and then present it as a product in front of the
Yeah,
client.
yeah.
So can you just break down those strategies like in detail, like how you reached out to the your targeted ICPs and all? So what was the way, and some more strategies on that, so that maybe the founders who want
Yeah.
to do like that, so they will get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We never raised any money, right? So we were pretty much broke right from day one, at least in the company sense. So everything that we did was figuring out how can we do this organically, how can we do this without spending any money.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that we did is building out something to show. which was, those audio clips that we stitched together. We bought a domain name. I think
Right.
we made a website also in a day or so. So we put that up. The website is still the same today. Voxgenie.com is still the exact same website that we made in the first week when we
Mm-hmm.
started. Um, Given that we did not have any money, we were kind of there were only few ways that we could sell. One was using our own LinkedIn accounts for
Mhm.
content. Second was using cold outreaches. Cold outreaches in two forms. One was LinkedIn messages, and another one was emails.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those three things is largely what we did. But if we talk about those, the first 4 or 5 customers that we had, it came from network.
Okay.
All three of us have worked at different companies. We have our own work
Mhm.
networks, right? So what we did is that sell before build sheet I was talking about. One tab on it was just list. We literally went through our entire phone contacts and we wrote names of anyone who could be remotely interested or might know somebody who might be remotely interested in voice AI as a solution. So we made
Okay.
that list. I
Mhm.
think that list was somewhere around 90 odd people finally came out on this list. These are different founders of different companies or senior leaders or just family,
Mhm.
friends. Those kind of people were on that list. And we had it tagged like, these are Anuj ke leads, these are Viren's leads, these are Nayan's leads.
Mm-hmm.
Once we had the demos ready, so the reason we built out those 4 different use cases was because largely this list we were able to split into 4 groups. That these guys would be
Mhm.
interested in sales, these guys would be interested in customer service, maybe an overlap. Once we had that, we just started reaching out to everybody. That um, so what we did is we were trying to make it interesting for them. We just sent them an audio clip and we were like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" We didn't say voice AI. We didn't say any of that. Uh, and people would generally get very confused. They would hear the audio clip and be like, okay, this seems like a customer service conversation or a sales conversation. Why the heck are you sending this to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell them, okay, one of them is actually not human. And that's when people got interested at, oh shit, this is. And voice AI was still pretty new, right? I mean, not a lot
Yeah.
of people were
Uh-huh.
using or new voice AI. There were companies in the valley, but I don't think India had that much adoption or even
Exactly.
information at that point of time. So people got super excited that this is super good, and we realized we started going on a lot of calls immediately. These were not sales calls, but these were people in our network who just wanted to know how we did it, what we were
Mm.
building. We got a couple of, hey, I'm
Mhm.
also trying to build the same thing. How are you going about it? And that kind of things also. Um, from this and like with this posting about all of that on LinkedIn, this is how we cracked the first couple of or first 5 clients or so. Um,
Mhm.
that was all. And post that, what we started doing is like we were super aggressive on LinkedIn and cold outreaches.
Mm-hmm.
When I started cold outreaches, I did not believe people would reply to my emails or people would reply to my LinkedIn messages. I thought, who does that? People won't do that. But when I started, I was surprised, like how many people respond. And it's just that it's a numbers game. So typically, people will do
Mm-hmm.
10, 20, 30 and stop, but it's a numbers game. You send out 100, you're going to hear back from maybe 20, and then maybe 10 of them will come on a call, and then maybe 5 of them or 4 of them you will close. Uh,
Right.
so it's a numbers game, and given that we are founders who have like pretty much nothing else to do other than sell, we were spending our entire day doing that, and
Yeah. Generally,
and we had.
Viren, if you see, yeah, yeah. Please continue.
And I was saying there was so much bias for selling in our early days that I have a product management background. Anuj has a product background. Nayan has a tech background. So we said Nayan is the only person who has a fixed job that he needs to build, right? Anuj and I were just selling. Whenever we had something to build, and we only built after selling, not just for the first couple of clients, but we didn't build any features after that. Only when a paying client said that, hey, it will be cool to have this feature also on your product, we would immediately ship it. Like we'll ship it within a week, and then we'll
Mm.
go back to selling. Then again, if a third
Mhm.
client said that I want this feature, is it possible to do? We'll immediately ship it in a week. So we'd go into building mindset then, and then write down the specs, make a UX design, give it to Nayan to ship it, and then go back to selling. So that's all we did.
Yeah, it happens. So like we generally people tend to focus more on the build part, and in your case we see that you were focused more towards the sales part, rather than
Yeah.
building it first and then reaching out to the customers. And if for like solopreneurs who are trying to do it by themselves, or few people connected together and then partnering and then doing it, so what is the percentage would you suggest like they should be focusing on the sales? And like let's say we are building a product and then we have outreach also, so what should be the strategy here? Can you suggest on that? In your case I understand, yeah, it
My
was
genuine belief is as much as possible. So one thing that I think going forward, I'm living by, if I end up starting something else in the future, nobody's job in the company is anything but sell. At least the first group that you form and the first group that starts working on it. Your core skill set might be a designer, might be a developer, might be a product manager, might be a marketer. It does not matter what your core skill set is. In the first 3 months, 6 months, 9 months of the company, your only job is to sell. Whenever you've sold something and something needs to be built, your core skill sets can start coming in and you can start designing or developing and all of that. But nothing beyond what is absolutely necessary. Nothing beyond it. Everybody's job is to sell and figure out how to sell better. Validate as much as you can. That is like, I think and I've discussed this with a couple of more like founders in my circle, and yeah, the most companies, early stage companies that I see doing well are only when founders are able to get out of that bias. That it's not about building. Like in today's world, this was still a year back, right? Let's talk about today. If today we started brainstorming, we would come up with 5 ideas that could potentially work with Cursor and GPT and all these different vibe coding tools. Building is no longer the moat. It is absolutely not the moat anymore, right? The moat is your GTM. The moat is your distribution. Are you able to distribute and then ensure that competitors can't come into that space? That is the moat. So I mean, it's. I think it's no longer the time for developers or product managers to be like, we'll build. They need to start becoming more GTM heavy.
So it's highly important to understand that prioritize selling over building, because building is quite like very plain down right now. You don't need heavy developers, you don't need heavy coders out there to build. Just an MVP to start with that can be built using AI tools out there, full stack developers. And the main thing that you need is the validation of the idea in terms of money, as to whether someone is interested in putting money into your idea or not. That's the biggest validation that you can get out in the market.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah.
And even with like building MVPs, or like we did not even build an MVP. We were pre-MVP also when we sold. I think we should be obsessed over what is the minimum stack that is going to deliver an outcome. So again, as builders, we can get very fascinated by the technology, especially like when you're working with something like voice AI. So one of the early learnings was that, in our calls, and this went outside our own circle, and this was when we were actually doing sales calls. Like we would obsess over, we made this technology, like these facts about this technology, cutting edge and all of that. Nobody cares. Your buyer does not care even a little bit about what they care about. The outcome. Will you be able to service my customer? Will you be able to hire somebody for me? Will you be able to sell this? That is all they care about. It doesn't matter what was the fanciness that went behind making this technology possible. So that was another major learning for me, that while I could be tech obsessed, nobody else is. and especially when you're in a B2B space, your buyers are have nothing to do with tech. Their roles are often operations or sales or customer service, recruitment. They don't care. They just want to see it work.
Yeah, the end target should meet at the end, and
Exactly.
that's what actually matters, because if someone is using your products, it is really important to get their work done. They only care about that,
Yeah.
no matter what tech or what stack you're using behind that, or
Exactly.
what kind of engineering or what kind of system design you have built. Okay.
Exactly.
Hmm. So I have a couple of questions in my mind, so I'll go step by step. Uh,
Sure.
let's start with the story, the acquisition story of Voxini by Conversive. So give us something over that.
Sure. So we initially met Conversive more from a that we'll become a vendor for them kind of a space.
Hmm. Okay.
It was more of so quick background. Conversive is a global communication platform. They are built on tops of CRMs like Salesforce, Zoho, and what they do is that while these enterprise bigger customers, bigger companies in the US, they typically keep all their information in these kind of CRMs, all their leads and user information. And
Hmm.
then Conversive is basically a plugin on top of those CRMs, which enables all your communication both ways, inbound, outbound. So you can use it for marketing, like doing campaigns across like SMS, WhatsApp, emails, all of that. Or you could use it for inbound as well, like web widgets and stuff like that. And then there is
Hmm.
like a desk kind of a solution where anyone within your company could be on that platform and talk to customers directly, right? So this is
Okay.
what they had built out, and they've
Hmm.
been around for like 16 years now, so it's a pretty old company.
Yeah.
Built without raising any rounds, uh, completely built in house. So we met
Hmm.
them, and it was more from a like, can we? How do we plug voice AI into this suite of solutions that they have? Because their customers could already communicate with their end users through WhatsApp, SMS, email, all of that. How do we plug
Hmm.
in voice AI there? That was the problem to solve. So we started that conversation, and pretty soon it started evolving into how can we enable AI? How can AI add more value? So, like, why limit to just voice AI, right? You could have conversation. AI could have the same bot could have conversations over WhatsApp, over SMS, over emails. So it'll kind of become like one brain working across multiple channels. And then the
Okay.
concept of omni-channel came in, that we started discussing that today companies are we bombard end customers on different channels. We aspire to ensure that we don't bombard, but it often doesn't happen. So you will get an email, an SMS, and WhatsApp often at the same time from the same company. Um,
Hmm.
so how can we create something that that is an intelligent system that understands that Kef responds on calls, Afzal responds on WhatsApp, is able to reach out to you, talk to you, store that information, and then a month later, when they reach out to you again, remember the last conversation, bring it up, uh,
Hmm.
build something that sophisticated, and then at the end
Hmm.
of the day deliver your outcomes. So those clunky flows businesses make, that first reach out on WhatsApp, if no reply reach out on SMS, if no reply reach out
Yeah.
on this,
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
all of that. Like, let's remove all of that. You just build out an AI agent, give it powers of all the customer information that you have, give it powers of all the channels that you can reach out from, and let it do its
Hmm.
thing, and of course with guardrails and a lot of checks there. So we started discussing things like this, and our vision with Vox was pretty much that, in the sense that we would do it in one vertical, but they were talking of a much more larger and massive game. And being a 16-year-old company, their distribution was phenomenal. They have clients in almost all countries across the world. So yeah, quickly it became that you guys are going to provide us voice AI. Why don't you provide us with these other AI capabilities that we want? And we realized that this is not going to be a regular, like client kind of a situation because we're literally building things into our roadmap which did not exist for them. So that
Mm-hmm.
kind of phase lasted very shortly. And within a week, their founders were in Bangalore meeting us. And then within a week, we were in Pune meeting them again in their office. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty much then we realized that we are working on the same vision. It's
Okay.
just that we are a far smaller company. We don't have the resources or the distribution to go to US or to go to UK or to go to
Mm-hmm.
Australia, which they already have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we realized that with them we are going to be able to build faster. They have a large engineering team. We will be able to do distribution much faster, and yeah, it just made sense to kind of collaborate on that. This is largely the story. Of course, there is a lot of there is a little bit of founder fatigue where you've been doing something for a long time and you want to see exponential outcome come out of it. Those kind of things, your moments of doubt as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about that as well. That so we had made a very hard call of never raising a round with Vox.
Mm-hmm.
So any
Mm-hmm.
investor interest that came in, we said no all the time.
Mhm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
can get into that as well. But what that also leads to is a little bit of more doubt because you see voice AI companies across the world or in the country raising rounds left, right, and center because it's the hot tech,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
are an arrogant founder saying that I don't want to raise a round.
Yes.
So, so that also kind of creates moments of ki, am I going to get left behind because I didn't raise a round?
Mm-hmm.
Because I cannot grow as fast because of resource constraints. When will I be able to, at a personal level, also get some money? And we're not talking about
Mm-hmm.
acquisition money. We're talking about like basic salary so that I can run my house. So yeah, within
Mhm.
those kind of things, when an offer that good came along, where we could partner up with this large company and all of that, it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like a very fluid decision. It was not made overnight, but
Mm-hmm.
over conversations with them across a couple of weeks and meeting them a few times in person. Yeah, it just organically happened.
Mhm.
We didn't plan for
Mm-hmm.
it, is what I'm trying to say. We didn't plan that we'll be selling the company.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, okay. So, coming to the next point, I actually wanted to know. You mentioned one point that you actually made a segment or a section into your sheet sell before build, or that was
Hmm.
the sheet actually, right?
Yeah.
But if you see the current scenario of the AI industry right now, with the advancements of full stack AI powered code tools out there, people
Hmm.
are bombarding tools into the market. Like there are like 3,000 tools per day getting released out on
Hmm.
product hunts, or there is an AI for that, and many other sites out there, right?
Yeah.
um what is your take on this? Like, are people going into the right direction with the powers of AI that they have, or should they mold it in some other direction? What's your take?
Hmm. See, it's become so easy to ship new products now, right?
Mm,
Mhm.
I could finish our conversation, and then I'd have still 6 hours in the day where I could literally build out something and ship by tomorrow,
mm,
right?
mm,
Building, like I said, is no longer your moat. So
mm,
sure, you could build something, you could put it on LinkedIn, you could publish it on Product Hunt, you can do all of that, but building is no longer your moat. What you need to seriously think about is that how will you distribute it? How will you like?
mm,
And it's getting more and more difficult to distribute as well, right? Because um, there is just as a consumer now, I have so many
mm.
options.
Yeah.
Even as a B2B buyer, I have so many options now that I
Mm,
would spend weeks evaluating where I want to go, right? Where what is the most which company has the best case studies, which company has the best outcomes, the best
yeah.
pricing. India is a very price sensitive market, so where do we
Mhm.
have the best pricing? So I would look into all of those things before making a purchase decision. Best part, I can do this research also fast now with AI.
Yeah.
So Um, so yeah, I mean, my advice largely to people will just be that can you actually sell it and spend time figuring that out. What can you sell? Building is super easy now. Unless you're building something which is solving a super complicated problem.
Hmm.
Like in today's world, if you're like, let's say voice AI, let's talk about voice AI. What we are building is not, it's tough to build, it's not super tough to build. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
ultimately, I'm not building an LLM, or I'm not building text to speech or speech to text, or I'm not building
Yeah.
a telephony provider.
Right.
Those are infrastructure businesses, right? So unless you're building that, uh, that takes time, of course, takes resources
Hmm.
also.
Hmm.
As of now, we're not building that. We might get into that now that we have resources, but as of now, we're not doing all of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, unless you're building something super difficult, if what you're building is as easy as over the weekend ban gaya, then please spend more time in figuring out how to sell that, because anybody
Hmm.
can build. You start putting it out there, another person who has better distribution will build the same exact thing with different colors in a weekend
Definitely.
and will sell
Yeah.
better than you.
Hmm.
So that's not the motive. Another thing I see as a trend happening now is we're going more and more towards a world where technology or software is becoming more localized. Um, so
Hmm.
typically, let's say if 10 years ago you were building a software product, you would build it for, your definition of niche would change. You would say, I'm building something for marketers. 5 years ago,
Hmm.
that changed into, I'm building something for marketers in the influencer marketing space. Today,
Okay.
it will change into, I'm building something for marketers in the influence space who are focused on providing health services to end users, right?
Hmm.
So it's
Micro
becoming
niche.
more and more niche,
Yeah.
Niche down.
and
Yeah.
like that segment is becoming smaller and smaller. So what I'm seeing is more software coming up which services a very small use case for a small group of people,
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
and I think that is how we should start thinking, not big first, but think about a very small niche, very small use case that you can solve for a small group of people and they are willing to buy.
Okay. Hmm.
So that's the kind of, like, when I discuss ideas with my co-founders, or we just think about what would be interesting spaces to build in. These are the kind of things we think about. Very small, like specific to maybe a few 100,000 people in a country. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
beyond that.
Hmm.
If you do generic things, uh, OpenAI kills thousands of startups across the world with every release,
Every,
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
So you have to start going super specific. There's no point in competing there.
Yeah, those
Hmm.
rappers will definitely will be absolute once OpenAI start
Yeah,
releasing.
so I think rapper, everything is a rapper only. Even before
Mm-hmm.
AI, everything was a rapper. You would use a core technology and you will build some rapper around it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's say in our industry, communications as an industry, the core technology would be your Twilio and those kind of providers, SendGrid,
Right.
those kind of providers that are providing you
Hmm.
services to send notifications.
Yeah,
And there are thousands of wrapper companies built on top of it, making it easier for you to send notifications, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's always been wrappers only. Uh,
Hmm.
it's just that now those wrappers are super easy to build.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So unless you
Interesting.
were somebody who were working on core technology, you were building a wrapper only, even before AI.
Interesting point of view. So so like, let's take it this way. Let's suppose I'm talking on behalf of many founders or solopreneurs who are watching this episode right now. uh, and I have an idea in my mind, as you told that we should sell before building it out, right? So I jumped into the market trying to sell it out in the market. I talked to people, I tried reaching out to people, and I tried to pitch my idea to people out there. Provide me now I'm not sure which domain or which industry would be the right fit for me. Is it going to be
Mhm.
healthcare? Is it going to be finance? Is it going to be ed tech? Is it going to be fintech, or operations or shipment, procurement, and number of
Mhm.
industries out there? I don't exactly have a vision as of which industry or which niche would work for me. Let's take
Right.
the example of AI voice. I'm building AI voice. Now I need to figure out which niche would work the best for me.
Hmm.
Provide me steps. How can I validate that, and how can I get that done?
Perfect. This is exactly where we were at. So I don't have to make up things here. This is exactly where we were at. We had voice as a technology. We had no idea where to sell it, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to sell it. So this is how it went for us. First, it started with some qualitative research,
Okay.
like some secondary research, essentially, where is it called primary? Whatever. So we did some research around what are the industries where voice is used the most, where a lot of labor goes into just voice. So, of course, we came up with customer services, we came up with industries like e-commerce, any kind of commerce. You'll have a support team, you'll have all of that. We came up with financial services, we came up with hospitality. So industries where inherently they're very phone call driven. Excuse me.
Okay.
So we started there. Now there was a segment of this list based on countries also. So like you said, we're not sure about the industry. We were not sure about the country also, because at that
Okay.
point voice AI was expensive, and we realized that it would not be the easiest sell in India, where human labor is cheaper, right?
Yeah.
So cheaper and better at that point, at least, right? So so we thought that we'll have to kind of sell it to maybe outside. So we were confused on the country also. So we
Yeah.
had separate researches done out for US. US may what are the top 5-10 industries where call volumes are high. Then we had another research done for India. We had another done for a few European countries. So we had 3-4 lists like these. Now, post this, for each of those segments in each of the countries, we started creating a list of companies.
Okay.
And fair warning, this is a pretty manual process. Maybe today AI can make it easier, but otherwise, when we were doing it, it was pretty manual, especially because we didn't want to pay for tools and we were okay spending time at that point. So we created a list. Now, within every list, we would have somewhere around 50, maybe 25 to 50 odd companies, right? So the list would go something like US financial services, 25 companies, US education companies, education providers, 25 companies, India,
Hmm.
blah blah blah. So you get the gist.
Okay.
Then within each of those companies, we found 2 to 3 senior leaders on LinkedIn, and we got their email addresses or
Hmm.
LinkedIn profile, whatever. That's
Hmm.
pretty simple to do. It's just a little bit time consuming, but it's simple to do with tools like Apollo and all of those kind of
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
So you can get email IDs. In the
Yeah.
end, we were sitting on a pretty large database that we created.
Hmm. Hmm.
The time we spent curating this list, uh,
Hmm.
behind the scenes, we had already started a warming up service usage for emails, because you can't directly buy a domain name and start shooting out emails, right? Most of your emails are going to land up in spam.
Yeah.
So we had started a one couple of months process of actually
Warming up
buying a
the
different domain
domain.
name, warming up
Hmm.
warming up the domain name, having multiple email
Hmm.
accounts, and we had like a target in mind that we should be able to do 10,000 cold emails in a month. So we had that kind of a target that we wanted to hit.
Hmm.
So that was all planned out.
Yeah.
I had actually spoken to a couple of cold email experts to understand how this works. How do I ensure we don't go into spam and those kind of things? Uh,
Hmm.
so at the end of all of this, we started shooting emails, and it was, if I could, the way I would say, we were throwing sand on the wall and seeing where it stuck, right? Um, so we sold a few in US, we sold a few in Europe, we sold a lot in India, um, and we realized that where we are able to sell at the price that we have, where the quality that we have is working, because it was not. Quality is getting better month on month, even today, right? With
Yeah.
different voice AI companies. Back then, it was not that great. You wouldn't be able to say that I can distinct, like, I'm 100% sure this is not robotic, and you wouldn't be able to get there. Even today, you can't, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
Uh, so then you'll have to find use cases where it's actually going to work. So let's say, basic example, sales is not going to work. because
Hmm.
when you're cold calling, especially when you're cold calling, you would have people will not. We anyways don't answer cold calls, or we pick and we cut after the first line. Now imagine that with a robot calling on the other end, you're not going to take any interest. So we realized very early that sales is not the game. At least cold sales is not the game. So it was a process of elimination. Now from this entire list, like I said, rough numbers: 20% people will reach out, will reply back, 10% will get on a call, 5%, 4% will take a pilot. So
Hmm.
in those 5-4% people, that is where we started building our own hypothesis. That
Okay.
with somebody we tried sales, with somebody we tried recruitment, with somebody we tried something. And from here, our own thesis started getting created that cold outreach is not going to work. Let's not even try it. So going forward, if a company reached out to us and said that we wanted to do cold outreach, we'd straight off say no, that we don't offer that use case at the moment. So then the process of elimination started. We started getting more confident about our use cases. That this is where
Hmm.
I have case studies to show you that my bot is going to perform. I've done that for another company. So that
Hmm.
that kind of starts building your uh, niche, or your if you're not aware from day one, like we were not. So if you're not aware
Hmm.
from day one, like this kind of a process is what we followed. To Of course, now if you have resources, you could run ads. You could maybe your lead generation process could become far simpler, far faster, if you're able to run ads. But LinkedIn ads are super expensive, and that's the only platform
Yeah.
that made sense to us. So we didn't do it.
Hmm. So if we break it down into steps, so firstly you need to understand what country or what like you need to list down each and everything out there on Excel sheets, and then you need to target 2 or 3 big people out there into those companies, and you need to reach out, and then it's like trial and error, and you need to iterate things out, and then you will have a clear understanding. You get filtrations out from there
Yeah, yeah.
as to have a clear segregation of which area to go and which area not to go.
Correct.
Hmm.
And in this
Okay.
process, like if somebody listening ends up adopting this process, one
Hmm.
very, very major point to add is that cold emails are not easy.
Yeah.
If if somebody, and I used to believe that I have a template barely modified for different people, like I'll change your name and company name and all of that, and I'll send it out to you, and that'll work. Absolutely not. And like if a person's bias around cold email is made out to be that it doesn't work because people don't reply, it's most likely because you're doing that. And I was in that place. It's excruciatingly tough to write good emails, especially when you're trying to do it at scale. Like I could write an email to Kev, and I can guarantee he would reply, um, if I was just doing one. But if I had to do thousands of emails, it just becomes super difficult. So I will go through your LinkedIn profile, I'll go through your company, I'll go through your maybe Twitter or something. I'll find things that would interest you, that we could connect over. And
Hmm.
and the first email would be more around that, and a very silent small plug about what I do, right?
Hmm.
Those kind of emails do work, and people will respond because they understand that this was genuinely written and it's not a marketing email. But those kind of
Hmm.
emails are also very tough to write at scale.
Okay, got it.
So cold email is something which is also to be in the list of skill sets of a founder or a solopreneur or product
Yeah.
builder.
Now, I don't know how long this will last though. I mean, now personalization is also becoming easy. I
Hmm,
could scrape
exactly.
all your social media information automatically. All of that could be fed into an LLM agent, and it could generate a super specific email for you, super
Yeah.
personalized. It could do that.
That's
Hmm.
happening.
But yeah, I mean, today it still works. I'm sure in a year it would become very junky because everybody would be doing this. So
Yeah.
while it lasts, you ride that wave as much as you can.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, since we were talking about obsession a few moments before, the obsession of idea that usually co-founders, founders, and solopreneurs have, the kind of
Hmm.
attachment that they have with their idea out there or with their product out there, which usually, which usually prevents them to open thousands of doors of success out there into their way. So as you even told that you were kind of skeptical when you had to take a decision whether you should go for funding where others were going for fundings and
Yeah.
out there. So let's assume there is a founder. He or she is building, or he or she is working on the idea that is not working good at the moment. Uh, they receive an offer for acquisition. Okay, so tell me what indicators can help them out to decide whether this idea is going to work in the long run when run
Hmm.
independently, or should we get acquired? So tell us that indicators into an idea or a
Sure.
product.
Sure. Look, I don't know if there are very too many tangible indicators, at least that I have been able to think of. But firstly, like let's talk about the founder perspective, right? You said that you're running a business, you've not really cracked it that well so far.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
in that kind of a situation, getting an acquisition offer might also be super difficult, right? Because because you've not cracked the market. So then I would assume that if the company is purchasing, what they are purchasing is maybe the technology that you've built out.
Yeah.
Um, because there's nothing else, right? Like you said, that there is no market, no, let's say, adoption. If all of that is not there, then most likely what you're getting purchased for is the tech that you've built. Now,
Yeah.
depending on how sophisticated that is, that would be the decision parameter for how much that acquisition will cost. And for the end buyer, the company that is buying, for them, what it means is that they're just expediting their roadmap. They are largely just looking to um, not spend maybe 6 months or so building what you already built out. So maybe that will be a faster thing for them to do. In that case, it's not going to be a very lucrative acquisition offer, firstly, um,
Hmm.
because all you're saving is engineering salary.
Yeah.
Now, if you cracked some market, some niche, then that's a whole different ballgame. That is where now you as a founder can have that dilemma that should I sell, should I build? That is where you could have that dilemma because in the situation before that, you've not cracked anything. You've just built a product. In fact, today I think it's just going to get more difficult because building is becoming easier. So
Yeah.
it's going to get more and more difficult to get an acquisition offer. Um, Now, let's talk of the other situation. You build something and you have some market that you figured out, and now how do you decide whether you want to sell or buy? So there can be multiple factors, and there is no right answer. I think I've spoken to so many people, so many founders that I know during that acquisition phase on should I do this, should I do that, because everything was super new to me. So I realized everybody has their own perspectives, and it's really about what works for you. If you're building an early stage company, are you ready to stick it out for the next 2 3 years? Um, are all your other co-founders on the same page? Are you all ready to grind it out when it gets tough? Are you guys ready to not have a paycheck? Uh, do you have funds? As in, did you raise a round? So your acquisition can happen post raising rounds as well, right?
Yeah.
If you're able to raise capital from the market, and that was your goal to begin with, uh,
Hmm.
then you have to realistically see will you be able to raise the next one. If not, then of course another reason could be that you want to start growing 10x 20x because of the leverage that the next company brings in, right? So there could be a lot of ways very very specific to the situation that you are in.
Hmm.
In our case, um, we were super clear that we did not want to raise a round. At least I was super clear, and
Yeah.
we would go a little bit back and forth in discussions with the other two co-founders. But I was super clear that uh, I don't want to raise a round. Um, I think this is also something I would like to like touch upon maybe for like early stage founders. Um, we have stupidly so made this such a milestone for startups that if you started something, you have to raise a round, and that is your mark of success,
Achievement.
right?
Yeah.
And
Achievement.
I think I've always believed this, but I can now talk about it because I've done both. At Fitment, we raised 1.5 million in seed round. At Vox, we did not raise any round. So I think I can now talk about this. The moment you raise a round, this is no longer your business.
Exactly.
You own some equity, sure. This is no longer your business. And you could have, we had the best investors. They never intervened. They were super supportive, super helpful, but you might not have the best investors. And they might start kind of, dictating your roadmap on what you want to build. Sometimes could be helpful, sometimes it couldn't be. We've seen both kinds of examples in startups in the country,
Yeah.
right? Secondly, more importantly, it's no longer your business. You don't make any money out of it until you go to maybe Series C, D, or something where you can actually sell your equity. Now, think about this logically. How many companies actually go to Series C, D? Very handful, right, in the
Yeah.
country. Like
Very few, very few.
in a city like Bangalore, you will find founders left, right, and center. Look at the volume of founders we have here, right?
Same as I said.
Now think of the number of Series C, D companies that we have. So we can directly see how many will not make it,
Hmm.
right? This is just pure average, pure maths, right? Most companies will not make it, even though you're raising your seed round. Now, versus what I realized is that a lot of companies can actually be very nice small businesses. And when I say small businesses, I mean you're doing a 50 CR annual revenue or 100 CR annual revenue. You could build a small business like that without raising a round. And the best
Hmm.
part is you have that all of that is yours. I come from a very traditional Marwadi household. That's the only thing I've seen growing up. Like my parents have a business, and that's the only thing I've seen growing up. They
Hmm.
they are they are not a Series C, Series D funded company. It's a small business that grew over the lifespan of my father, and
Hmm.
he grew it from a very small business to a decently large business. Nowhere large compared to startup standards, but enough to feed a few generations. But
Hmm.
if you raise capital, you can no longer do that,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Now
And
you need to think about, as a founder, do you even want to go there? Like the
hmm.
moment you raise a seed round, what you are saying is my only two exit options are that I'm going to sell the company or I'm going to IPO it. Those are your only two options to make substantial amount of money.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
think
Substantial
of the
means like
odds.
beyond 100, 200 crores. We are talking about like 500 crores,
Yeah,
1,000
yeah,
crores. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But why not build a small sustainable business? And that is what we wanted to do with Vox. We said that we are going to
Hmm.
be a small boutique voice AI agency, like exactly what like you guys do, kind of like that. You build out tech for different companies, AI
Yeah.
enabled tech, right?
Yeah.
This does not need a round raise. This needs a small team, and you can go profitable in the first month of running.
Yeah.
Which is what we did with Vox. We were profitable in the first month of running because there is no cost. The three founders building out custom solutions for different companies and charging for them for it.
Hmm.
So that's what we wanted Vox to be, which is why we did not raise a round, and which is why the acquisition was super simple because the decision makers were only the three of us.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nowadays in social media, we see that it has been quite hyped that people are raising funds and all, and even 15 years, 16 years are getting funding, and that has been like set as a successful or success kind of step for most of the, and people are blindly following that. That's a myth you have broken. One of the myths which we generally see in the new entrepreneurs or um, the
Yeah.
solopreneurs who are building products. So,
Yeah.
are there any other which you feel like from your journey you have these kind of myths which
Hmm.
you can share, and
I
then
think the two major ones I've already shared. One is round raising is more of a burden than a blessing. But
Mhm.
the caveat here is really depends on the kind of business you're building. If you're building a business that will work at scale only, you have to raise a round.
Mm-hmm.
If you're building a business which is very sustainable and a small business, then don't raise a round.
Mm.
It's just that culturally we've gone into a place where if I go and tell somebody that I'm running a startup, the first question will be, did you raise a round? And you want the answer to be yes. So that is one. But having done both, I'm very, very sure about this. Now, the second one is be obsessed with selling, which like I already said. Um, yeah, I think those two are major ones for us. Um, like I said, that no, everybody's job is nothing else other than selling. Nothing
Yeah.
else. Like you could be a designer or whatever. You are a salesperson until you reach a certain scale where everybody can peacefully dare do just one job.
Hmm. But Viren, tell me something. Let's assume there is a founder out there. Let's a solopreneur or a startup founder out there who's working day and night to build something really impactful into the AI market, and
Hmm.
his or her aim is to crack that impactful business, the one which we were talking about, the 500 or the 1,000 crore business out there. They're aiming that. they
Yeah,
are
yeah,
not
yeah.
they are not satisfied with the 150 crore business annual, although that's really impressive and really fruitful out there as we discussed, but they aim for that 1,000 2,000 crore business. So is it possible for such founders or such entrepreneurs to target or to build such level of business with just bootstrapping things, not raising any
Hmm.
rounds? What is your
Yeah, yeah.
take on
Good question. Good question. I think one caveat I would like to add there is it's very important to know who you are. This is more of an inward journey than an outward journey.
Yes.
I think I was pretty clear halfway through my founder stint over these 3 years that I don't want to be that founder. I don't want to have a business which is 500 crores, 1000 crores. I genuinely don't want to have that.
Hmm.
Um, I want to be somebody who is far lesser than that, but happier. Uh, I'm still not saying people there can't be happy, but I like to spend a lot of time at home. I like to spend a lot of time doing co-curriculars. That is not the genetics of a founder who can make it that way. So I was very honest with myself in the sense that, bro, you don't have what it takes.
Hmm.
You like doing this, which is why you could build a small business, but you're not somebody who's going to build an IPO company. I was pretty clear about that. Like halfway through, when you start doing it, you realize what it takes, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I think you have to be honest with yourself that and nothing is the right answer, right? There are like we have a whole generation of people before us who build businesses without raising rounds, and they
Absolutely.
have built small, large, all kinds of businesses. By any amount of money, they're still in the top 0.5% of the country, whether it's a small business or a large business, right? You will do well, your kids will do well, all of that is there, even if you build a small business. So it's more about you deciding. Now, because I am not that person, I'm sure somebody who's aspiring to be that will listen to what I'm saying and say that this doesn't align because
Hmm.
their goals are something different. And that's absolutely okay. Like, I don't know what that journey looks like. I don't know what it takes to make a IPO driven company. Of course, I don't. So, but yeah, I mean, what I would say though is that delay your round raise as much as possible.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if you are starting something today and you aspire for that, let's say that very, very large business in this country, that's okay. But if you have the resources, delay round raising as much as possible. Because, and it's pretty logical, right? If I was to raise at an idea level, um, you would give me some amount of money. That because you have some confidence in me as a person.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If I were to raise something where I told you that I have already built the product. I have not figured out the market. You would maybe give me, okay, ठीक है, you're on to something. You're spending time. I believe you're on to something. Could backfire also, but okay. The third is where you say that I have some sort of product market fit. I have users, I have paying customers, people are purchasing. Now imagine the confidence of the investor would be much higher, right? Because you've already built out something which has paying customers. This could go either way though. Like it depends on your confidence as a founder. You might end up with a product with no customers, and then an investor will say, if nobody is using it, why should I pay?
Correct.
Right?
Fair point.
So if you're confident that you're building something that is going to go to that scale, you want to do that, then it makes sense to delay your round raise, because once you have adoption, you will get far better valuation in even your seed round or your series A. So it
Hmm.
makes sense to do that,
Hmm.
provided
Hmm.
that you have the capital. Like if you're
Interesting.
building a
So
software business, it takes a small team. It could be just a couple of
yeah,
co-founders.
yeah. So the crux is, it is possible at the end. It is possible to have a bootstrap business still going thousands of crores out there. But before that, you need to stand in front of a mirror and look at yourself and understand: are you even capable of that? What are your goals? What are your future aspirations? And based on that, you need to take a call as to whether to adopt that path or not, because there are a lot of hardships out there when you opt for that path. Surely.
Yeah, yeah. The
Mm.
truth of being a founder is that 99 founders out of 100 founders are going to make lesser money compared to had they stuck to their jobs.
Mm.
So if you're doing this for money making possibilities, you're perhaps far better left at your job. Um, yeah, I
This is
mean
interesting.
that just makes economical sense.
Yeah.
Most founders in the world would make far lesser money than early employees of Meta, who have
Hmm.
never had a founding stint. And Meta is a
Mm.
very different example. You could take most successful startups.
Yeah.
Employees there would make far more money than founders of unsuccessful startups.
Mm.
That's just
Hmm.
economical, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, giving yourself a constant reality check on who you are, where you want to go, what is the reality, are you actually able to sell? Is the confidence on what you are building just a 1% confidence, or are you actually seeing signals from the market? Um, how long can you hold out fundraising? Uh, all of those things are super important.
Mm.
Yeah, Viren, so self-realization or self-actualization, understanding your capabilities is one part. Another part is to also believe in yourself. Like if someone wants to do something and if they believe they can do it, so there also will be some difference in terms of the output.
So I would say believing that you will be able to pull it off
Mm-hmm.
is the bare minimum. It's ground zero.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if that is not there, then what is the point? Also, like, why are you even doing it? Um, then I'm assuming it's a purely money decision,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I guess that's
Mm.
okay. But according to me, believing that you will be able to do it is ground zero. I'm just saying
Mm.
that be real about how far this will go,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
realistically,
Mm.
right? Um, if I was, let's say, 10 years ago starting a recruitment business and saying that I'm going to go IPO, that's just not realistic. It's
Exactly.
not going to happen. So that's the kind of thing I'm saying. You will see so many companies, early stage companies with ideas that are realistically not a fundable, like they should not raise a round. They will
Mm-hmm.
make amazing small businesses. The founder will get phenomenally rich, will make amazing business. But only because of your one decision of raising that seed round to make your first 6 months easy, you end up compromising a lot down the line.
Mm.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean
Fine.
that's all that I'm trying to put across.
Yeah,
Okay.
understood. Understood. Yeah, that's really nice, and we can understand the experience you carry, and you're sharing from that experience. And also with that, like this is about self actualization or understanding ourselves. What about the partners? When you choose, how critical it is to choose a right partner, and what you should look for a partner when you are choosing one.
Hmm. So I don't get the there are a lot of times I see posts on groups or LinkedIn or things like that where people are talking about I am building this and I'm looking for a co-founder.
Mm.
I genuinely don't understand it, and I might be wrong. This is a very single person perspective. I might be wrong.
Mm.
I would not trust a person as much as I would trust people who I've worked with for a very long time. So both my founder stints have been with people that I have worked with for a very long time.
Hmm.
Now, it might be that one of the co-founders I don't know that well, but one I know really well. वैसे type की चीजें that is possible.
Mm.
But
Mm.
in my opinion, uh, what I am looking for when I'm looking for a co-founder is blind trust. Um, not just on them as a person, but their capabilities and what they are taking up.
Mm. Mm.
I don't know how you would do that with a stranger that you've just met. Not sure how that
Yeah.
works. There are
Yeah.
examples of those kinds of success stories as well. So I'm sure I'm missing on something here. But my definition is that you find people that you can blindly trust with what they do. With my co-founders, uh, it gives you more focus on what you have picked. So if I was working on, let's say, product, or I was working on sales the next day, I had full conviction and full trust that if my other co-founders have committed something, it is going to happen.
Mm.
If Nayan, our CTO, has committed that we are going to ship this in a week, it is going to happen. Maybe a couple of days earlier, but it won't be late. Uh, so that kind of trust in their capabilities on what
Mm.
they are able
Mm.
to do is what I think gives me the space to do what I want to do. So I would largely look for that. Now, the other obvious things are that you look for complementary skills. You don't want to have same skill sets. Uh, so you would want ideally that you are able to do different things and you're able to do them really well, build out your own teams and stuff like that. Um, Somebody who's obvious, like the obvious things are that they would need to be in it for the long run. They are okay with spending time, not having enough money for a while until you are either can make money or can raise around. So I think those kind of things, that alignment on um, how you think about the next 5 years, that is also super important. So like I said,
Mm.
that we took a non-traditional route, right? Did not raise around, did not want to do all of that. Now this is not easy for everyone to digest. uh, my other two co-founders were first-time founders. uh,
Mm.
they had
Mm.
not seen the fundraise journey and all of that. So for me to be able to sell them on this was it was important for them to accept and be okay with the decision that they are taking, which could go either ways. Thankfully, ended up well for us, but could have gone either way, right?
Mm.
Uh,
Exactly.
so knowing that your end goals are aligning in the sense, at least with the company, nothing else. How you want to take it forward, what your visions. I think people should spend time talking about it. Removing any possibilities of future arguments. Let's say as simple as around equity.
Mm.
Um, so I think those kind of things are important to kind of hash out very early in the process. I think
So
those are
long
more
term.
technicalities. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you saying something?
I think those are more technicalities, but the base is absolute trust.
Hmm. So these
See,
things like build a trust. If you have things clear and if you're able to talk for a long time, you can understand each other, and you have a long vision which you agree upon. So that will build a trust, and
Yeah,
definitely the deliverable parts is very important. Like if you decide a timeline, you know that your partner or yourself are committed to deliver it on time, so you have a peace of mind there as well.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I think the best analogy that I can give is your co-founder is exactly like your partner in life, like your husband or your wife, right?
Mm.
Uh, it's very, very astonishingly similar how that relationship is.
Hmm.
You fight, you are honest with each other, you grow together. Like all of those elements are the same.
Yeah.
That you need somebody who's honest with you. You need
Hmm.
somebody who's able to fight with you and still be with you. And you are able to grow together in what your vision is and what you are building. It's just that one is in a professional capacity and the other is in a personal capacity.
Personal capacity.
But it is astonishingly similar.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. So these were some good words that I have heard from a founder, right? Because I have had so many conversations with many founders and many co-founders out there. But this kind of vision is something different, which we got from you right now.
Different perspective. Yeah.
So let's get to, like, I need some advice from you because uh so let's say there are some first time SaaS founders who are building out there. Let's take example of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs out there. What advice would you give them out uh, who are aiming for bootstrap businesses, but they get tempted by the early funding offers that we usually see on social media platforms, which are getting worshipped day and night? So,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is your advice to those founders? How should they react? How should they behave?
Hmm. So I think the first thing, it's summary of things that we've already discussed. But let's
Hmm.
say first thing is, what is your aspiration? So
Correct.
let's first assume that your aspiration is to build a very, very large business, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if we assume that, then I'm assuming that you'll be okay with raising around.
Yeah.
So then you can go that route. Um, Another is be obsessed with selling. Be obsessed with. I'm sorry. You're asking what is the route that they should follow if they're
Yeah.
aspiring
Yeah, like there are many distractions out in regards to
with
the
regards to
early fundings.
fundraising.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if your goal is that, then it's okay. Right.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the timing of how confident you are with the timing.
Hmm.
You should be obsessed with validating your goal. That how possible is that? Like one clear indicator is that let's say you're in India. So look at what are other companies in the same industry or the same space trying to, not like competitors, but companies in the same space, similar industry. Uh, does it actually scale?
Yeah.
Is that realistic? Right. So be obsessed with validating that. If you see realistic examples of like this being possible, then sure, why not? I mean, then you can go into the route of raising a round with the clear goal of that. Once you raise a round, the next goal is next round, and the next goal is next round, and what it takes to make that happen,
Fair. Fair.
right? So you'll have to play that game. Uh, Second is you can look at competition as well. Like we'll have stats around how big the market is, how much of it the competitor has. Uh, that is largely going to be a realistic view of where you will get to if you are super successful in your market, right? Where your competitor is at, or a little bit beyond that, maybe.
Hmm.
Uh, that should also realistically make sense. So I think one of the examples that we keep discussing internally, which is why I bring it up again and again, is recruitment as a space, right? It is a very, very not today, but a few years ago or a decade ago, it's a very human intensive business if you're running a
Hmm.
recruitment agency.
Hmm.
So very realistically, as much as you scale, you will need to hire more manpower. So at some point, when you are at 200 employees or 300 employees or 500 employees, operationally it will become difficult to scale.
Hmm.
So that is why there are very few, very, very large recruitment companies in the world, which do like agencies in the world. Right? Very few.
Hmm.
Let's talk about marketing agencies. So these agency businesses, there are very, very few super large businesses like IPO level businesses. So then, as a founder, if you're doing that, then this is how the roadmap would look like. You realistically look at in your line of business how many unicorns or how many IPOs or how many really, really large companies exist. If it's very few compared to the other industries, then you need to stop. You need to pause for a bit. Not stop, sorry, but you need to pause and rethink your fundraising strategy. That really, what is the reason? Is the real reason that you will feel safer because you've raised a round? You are able to draw some money and it's not zero income for you. Those are the wrong reasons to do it.
Hmm.
If your real reason is that uh, this market is super competitive, like I'm going to lose out if I don't grow 10x faster, the market is giving you that signal. There are those many startups coming up. Look at the Valley for an example. How many Y Combinator startups are coming up in the same space? Look at
Right.
India and see how many big players exist in that space. If you have a realistically view, then by all means go as fast as you can.
Hmm.
Nice.
Got it.
So if I was starting a marketing agency, I would pause. I like
Ah.
let's rethink this because I would have a
Hmm.
far better time building a smaller business and actually making a lot of money.
Hmm. So you need to realize whether is it worth raising a round, or whether is it worth going for a funding process. You need to understand your market, you need to understand your concept, your business, and after that you need to take a decision over how you need to proceed for the funding. Is it even required? Is it even uh, can we work without funding or stuffs like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
interesting. So like, far many questions, but the time constraints there. So let's conclude this conversation with one last question that I have in my mind, which is very
Mhm.
uh, you know which we usually try to collect from all the founders that we have on the AI Bros show. What do you see the future of AI in, maybe 5 to 10 years down the line? Because
Yeah.
let's talk about voice industry. Voice industry is going every year, and it is growing exponentially. Like, according
Mhm.
to stats, it is going to grow like $47.5 billion by 2034, let's say. What is your take on what opportunities it is going to create, or what opportunities are going to emerge in this space right in the future?
Right. Uh, I think my first bet is omni-channel.
Okay.
Omni-channel memory-driven conversations. The example that I shared before, right?
Hmm.
That's not voice specific, but it's specific to communications as an industry.
Mhm.
That companies would want to use AI agents as a single brain that retains memory across users and can speak to them across any channel. Right. So you could
Okay.
message my business on Instagram, and the person speaking will feel like the same person that you spoke to over call a month ago, or the person you are going to speak to over WhatsApp 3 days later. It's going to
Hmm.
feel exactly the same because that person will remember everything about you.
Hmm.
So I think omni-channel is whether it's voice or actually omni-channel by definition is multiple channels, but
Yeah.
I think that is one. Second, I see uh, super localization, like hyper personalization would happen in 5 years or so. Um, like think of the number of people, the volume of people in our country who are still away from technology because of barriers like language,
Hmm.
Right.
right?
Right.
Like yes, they have internet connections because thank you, Geo. They have smartphones. They are using WhatsApp, YouTube, and Instagram and Facebook. All of that is already there, but nothing beyond that, right?
Hmm.
Now imagine once AI is available, like imagine Chat GPT being available to a tier 3, tier 4 village uh, with a kid with an internet connection. So I think um,
Hmm.
that is going to happen, and as that progresses, uh, like specific to voice as well, it becomes a mode of communication with technology uh, in whatever language you speak. It wouldn't matter, right? So your access to information is just going to like the last 10 years or so, or 20 years or so, we've said that internet has revolutionized access to information. Like what's coming is going to be far superior. Uh, so I think that would happen. And as a result of that, whether it's voice AI or any other technology, would become very, very personalized to people.
Mm,
It would become your voice AI agent, your like
Mm.
specific to Kef or specific to Afzal or specific to me, right? In fact, you if you read a little bit about it, like Apple is trying to go in that direction, where
Yeah.
not building LLM models and all of that, but working on how they can maybe upgrade Siri. I'm assuming to a more personal assistant to you.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and the context is just you, just your life and everything on your apps and stuff like that. So I think
Yeah.
technology will just become more specific to who you are rather than maybe a few very, very large companies and all of that. But we'll start seeing more adaptations or more niche verticals getting built.
mm.
Mm. Interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
and that would be leverage, right? Imagine if I say that I have a voice AI agent that can speak in the language which is used in the tier 3, tier 4 cities of Rajasthan alone. That's all
Yeah.
I do. Now, if you are a business looking to tap into that market, there is nobody better than
Yeah. And that's kind interesting in terms of business when we look at it. But it also seems to be scary when they have everything about, they know everything about you, and the assistant is knowing everything.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
that's. I feel like for most people in the planet, not even India, in the planet, that is unavoidable. Like a
yeah,
decade ago, our parents were talking about how internet is not great. Uh, People are not going out playing on the field anymore. They're spending time in front of computers. Then the generation after that started speaking about the same thing, but now on the phone.
yeah,
And the generation beyond this would talk about the same thing with better access to AI and your glasses that are coming up.
yeah.
And that, so I think that's unavoidable. It's better to start building healthier relationships with it as much as you can,
Yes, yes, yes.
rather than figuring out how to not have that in your life because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, let's look at the
Mm.
positive sides of it.
Yeah. The
And
positive aspect is very
yeah,
important to consider. Interesting. So, thank you so much, Viren, for
Thank
being
you.
on the show. And this was definitely the ultimate startup slash entrepreneurship slash acquisition kind of a conversation that we had. And I believe viewers are definitely going to enjoy this and going to learn a lot from this conversation out there. And uh, check out Vox Genie. We'll be putting, should we put the link in the description? Do you want
Yeah,
guys to?
absolutely.
Yeah. So check out Vox Genie. The link is definitely going to be in the description. And before we wrap this conversation out, anything that you would like to say to the viewers, any message or anything that you would like to share with them?
Sell before build.
yeah, that was
That
great.
was a quick one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks,
So
Viren.
thank you
Thanks
so
for being on the
much
pod. Yeah,
for being on
Thanks
the
for having me,
AIBROS
guys.
show. And until next time, keep building, keep creating. Thank you so much.